Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we're going to be using a brand new set of images from Art Impressions, and we're also going to be creating this edge-to-edge shaker card, and I'll show you how quick and simple this is to do. So let's go ahead and get started. So this set is called the Mousey Christmas set, and it's a brand new set for Art Impressions. And you get all these cute little mice, some cute sentiments, and some little accessory pieces as well. I'm going to be using this one down here at the bottom today. So I've got my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens in light pink, beige, and mid brown, and we'll start some coloring here. So I'm starting off with the cheeks in that light pink, then I'll bring in some of that beige color and then the mid brown for a few little shadows here. And I'll show you a little bit later on that this set does include the dies, which is really nice. It makes it a lot easier to cut these out. And you'll see when we die cut these, all the detail that cuts out of this particular image. So let me continue coloring in this little guy. And I'm just adding both the beige and the mid brown at the same time, but you could certainly do the beige first, blend that out, and then come in with your mid brown. But I find this works just as well, so do it whatever way you find the easiest here. And just as a reminder, these are water-based pens, and I am using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock to do my blending here. And I did my stamping with the VersaFine Onyx black ink, which is a permanent black ink, so that when I use my watercolors with that, it won't bleed or smear. So now I've got warm gray number 3 and warm gray number 4. And these two colors are part of the brand new color set from Zig. And I've done a couple of videos on that. I did a part 1, which I did the swatching of all those brand new colors. And I also have a part 2 where I used many of those new colors in a floral design card. And I can link those down below for you if you're interested in taking a look at those. So today we're going to be creating an edge-to-edge shaker card, and these are really simple and easy, fun designs. It's very addicting. Once you make one of these, you're going to see how easy this is to create many more. And it's a great way to use up some of your sequins and embellishments that you've probably been holding on to or hoarding like I do. And so it's a great way to kind of look at that, look at some of your glitters, because you can fill these little pockets with just about anything. So I've grabbed the light gray and I'm adding a few little shadows here on the candy cane. And then the wine red is the color I'll use to color in his jacket. There is also a brand new red in that new Zig set as well, and it's a vermilion red, which is really pretty. And in that new set of colors, the colors are kind of a smoky color, a little bit not quite as bright as some of the other colors. So again, you can take a look at that down below if you're interested. And here I'm just using that one color to do my shadowing. So I'm just coming in with a bit more of that color if I need to darken things up. I'm not adding a second color here. And I'll just pull that color up towards the top here, kind of keeping the top of the hat the lightest. So I'm going for a pink and red theme here today. I kind of wanted to stay in that color palette. We're going to be creating a really pretty peppermint striped background, and I wanted everything to be in the pink and red. But you'll see that I add a little bit of turquoise to that tree just for a little additional pop of color, although I did kind of debate over that quite a while. It took me a while to decide to add that turquoise green. So if you don't want to add that, you could certainly just keep that tree white and add some gray shadows to it if you don't want to add that little extra pop of color. And you could add any color here, like a lime green or a citrus green, anything here you want. But I did go with that turquoise green. I thought it would go really well with the pink and the red combination. So here I'm coloring that little straw. This is just so cute. He's resting back, having a little bit of his drink here. And then I did decide to come in. I started with the gray to do my shadowing, and I did decide to come in with some beige to add a little bit more shadowing to that whipped cream on the top there. So here's where I grabbed that turquoise green, and I'm just going to add it to one side of the tree and then pull it over towards the right hand side. And I'll again just use that one color, and I'll come in with more layers of that color for more shadowing. Now I'm going back to the gray to do some shadows on this little coffee mug, and I'll keep the center fairly light here. So all of the products I'll be using today will be listed and linked down below and also on my blog as well. So I'm adding a bit more shadow there on the inside of the handle, and let me give you a closer look at this. So now I'm grabbing that Sponge Sugar Distress Oxide ink, and really quickly I'm just going to cover this entire panel. Now this is a piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and it measures 4¼ by 5½. So let's go back to that wine red. I want to do some spattering, and I'll put it on this mat here so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to scribble that color right onto my mat. I'm spritzing that with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer, and then I'll take a small paintbrush and spatter that red all over this panel. Now I'll set that aside to dry, and then the next layer will be the liquid Stardust from Lawn Fawn. This is a really pretty sparkly liquid. So I'll squeeze a little bit, and you do want to shake that up really well before you use it to get all that sparkle kind of mixed in nice and evenly. Then I'll spritz that with a little bit of water and spatter that panel again. And then for the third layer, I'm using some white acrylic paint. And again, I'll add a little bit of water to this, and then I'll go ahead and spatter this as well. So we'll have that pretty red spatter, that sparkly spatter from that liquid Stardust, and then this really nice white spatter, which will give it kind of a snowy look. So let's set that aside to dry again. So now I've got this pretty peppermint stripes background die. This is from Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to die cut this out of some white Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. And then let's die cut this again using that spattered panel that we created. So I'll set those aside for a second here while I cut a piece of cardstock that measures 4¼ by 5½. And actually you do want to cut two of those if you want to create these two backgrounds at the same time. So that's just to lay our frames down onto it. Just gives us a base here. So I'm popping out all these little pieces. You could certainly keep these in order if you want to, but I found it really easy to put this back together. So I'll set those aside. And now I've got the frame portion here. I'm going to go ahead and glue it down to this panel. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. This is a really super strong adhesive. And I'll just put a little bead of glue all around the back of this. And then I'll line it up with this panel. Now you can see that those stripes in between are white, but they're kind of inset. So what I want to do is place some white pieces back in to make this level. So I'm just going to take those insert pieces here, and here I've just kept them right in the frame. So I can just grab them one at a time and place those in there. And again, that'll fill in that gap. You can certainly leave it the other way, but since we are making a shaker card, I wanted my background to be flat. So by inserting these little pieces in here, I can make this nice and level so that my shaker pieces will slide around nicely. So now you can see that we've got that completed. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this other panel. So I'm going to place it on a piece of 4¼ by 5½ inch cardstock and then inlay all those little pieces. So now we have two complete backgrounds, which is really nice. You end up with two beautiful backgrounds. So let's set those aside. Now I'm going to this new journal template set from Art Impressions, and this creates this beautiful three-dimensional journal with all the pages and pockets, and you get all of these beautiful dies in here. You get the dies to create the journal and then all these little accessory pieces. And we're going to be using this little corner die. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut that again out of some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm using my Zigs Sidekick machine to do that. And then you can see it has these little score lines on it. And so you can fold those back and you can use these as little photo corners. But I'm going to use them on the corner of the front of the card. Now, I did end up scoring and folding all of these, but later on you'll see that I decide to cut these off. They were a little bit bulky, so I do end up cutting off those little corners. Now I'm adding a little bit of that spun sugar right along that scalloped edge, and I'll do that for all 4 of these. Now let's go and grab some pretty gems. These are from the Pink Fresh Studio Essentials Jewel Mix, and I'm grabbing the 2 shades of pink here. These are like little crystals, and they're so pretty. They come in 3 different sizes. In that jar you have small, medium, and large. And again, I'm going back to the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I'll use my Marvy jewel picker to pick these up. And I'm going to, even though we are creating a shaker card, I don't want all of the elements to fall to the bottom of the shaker. So what I'm going to do is place quite a few of these little gems all around this panel. Now today we are using this panel for our background, the white frame with the pink inserts. I did set that other one aside, and I'll be using that in a future card. But I did want to just use this one today, but you can decide which one you like better. They're both so pretty. So again, I'm going to add these little gems all around the background here, just so that when we shake our shaker card, all of the elements don't fall to the bottom. It'll still have some of these pretty gems up towards the top. So I'm going to do both the light pink and the dark pink. And then what we'll do is add a few little red hearts to this here in a minute. Now, just so you know, all the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below and also on my blog. And these are the Sparkletz embellishments from Buttons Galore and more. And we're going to, again, place some of these little red hearts around this panel as well. Now, I won't be using any of these little elements for our shaker elements. We'll be using some sequins. I just thought these were a little bit thick to be the shaker elements, so I'm going to use some little snowflakes, sequins, and some little white sequins as well. So I'll show you that here in a second. So now I'm going to, before I add any of my shaker elements, I'm going to use my Pink and Main anti-static powder tool here, and I'm going to just apply that all over. I just don't want my shaker elements to be staticky, so I'm just going to apply that, and then I'll just tap off any excess there. So once that's all set, I'm going to grab a piece of plastic. This is just some plastic from a set of stamps that I bought. So it's just some packaging material here. And I'm just kind of cutting away the excess. I want to leave about a ½ inch all the way around. And then I'll just cut those corners on an angle. You don't want to cut too close because you don't want to lose any of your little shaker bits. So I'm just going to cut those on an angle. And then what we'll do is apply some 1/4-inch double-sided tape all the way around all 4 sides of the back of this panel. And you do want to use a super strong adhesive here. And I find this tape works really well. So we can go ahead and press the backing out with the bone folder. It just makes it a lot easier to remove that backing. And now I can remove the backing from one side at a time, and then I'll fold up that plastic all around 3 sides of this, just 3 sides, because we want to leave that one side open to insert all of our little shaker elements. So I'll remove the backing there and then press that down into place. And now we've got that little pocket opening that we need. And let's go to the Picket Fence Studio Sequin mixes. I've got 2 of them here. And what I'm going to do is kind of pick and choose what I want out of these. I'm going to grab these little white sequins here. And then from this one, I'm going to grab the little snowflakes. So that'll give us a nice mix for our shaker card. So this takes a little bit of time to grab what you need, but I thought it was worth it because I wanted to get exactly what I wanted in my shaker pocket here. So I grabbed several more after this, but I'll just show you that I put them on a little piece of cardstock and then I just slide that right into that pocket. So I finished filling that pocket. We'll remove the backing from the 4th side here and press that into place. And that gives us our little shaker pocket. So you can see how simple these are to create. So now here's where I decided to cut away that little tab on our photo corners because we do have some bulk there from these shaker elements and I just thought it was too bulky. So I'm just going to tape these right to the front of our pocket. So I'll apply plenty of tape along the back of these and then I'll place these in each of the 4 corners. So again, that journal template die set has so many fun little elements that we can use. And I'll be using several of these elements on a variety of cards in some of my upcoming videos. So I did that for all 4 of these and I went ahead and attached those. Now let's grab some cardstock from Lawn Fawn. This is called the Ballet Slippers. This is a really pretty pink. And I created an A2 size top folding card. So that card measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and attach this. Again, I'm going back to that 1/4-inch double-sided tape and attach this to the front of my card. Just lining that up with the table just to make sure it's nice and straight. Now I'm going back to that journal die set and I'm going to grab these little scallop circles. I grabbed the larger one and the medium size one. And I went ahead and stamped my sentiment and then die cut it out of that smaller scallop circle. And I edged it with a little bit of that spun sugar ink. And now I'm going to pop that up with some foam mounting tape onto this pink circle. And I'm just centering that. And now I'm going to add one of those little red hearts to this sentiment. So again, this set has all those cute little sentiments, and I grabbed this one that says Mousey Christmas. So I've grabbed a white gel pen and I'm going to add some highlights here and there on my images, and that'll just make everything pop out a little bit more. And now I've got my Wink of Stella glitter pen, and I'll add a little bit of sparkle here and there. You do want to clean it off in between colors because it is a water-based glitter pen, so you don't want to transfer that color to anything else. I'm adding it to the fur on his jacket and hat and that little pom-pom. And then I'll add some to this little tree. So I'll give you a closer look at that. So now let's go ahead and grab those coordinating dies. Again, this set does come with these dies. And I'll line this one up and tape that down with a little bit of Post-it tape. And then I can run that through the die cutting machine. And here I'll show you, look at all the detail that cut out. It's just so perfectly cut. So let's go ahead and grab some 1/8 inch double-sided tape. And I'm going to place that all around the back of this image. Now you certainly could use your glue here. I just didn't want to use too much glue. I didn't want it to kind of get stuck to the acetate in any way because it's very difficult to get off. And there's a few little areas I couldn't get the tape onto, so I'm going to add just a few little tiny dots of glue there. And then I'll go ahead and tape this down to the bottom here, kind of centering that. Now, once I have that positioned in place, I'm going to cut off that excess there on the bottom. But just fair warning here, be really careful when you cut that off. Don't cut into that plastic because you don't want your little shaker elements to come out. So be really careful when you're cutting off any excess there. So let's go back to the sentiment and some of that 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I'll just completely cover the back there with some tape, and then we'll center this up towards the top of the card. Now off camera, I assembled this little bow. I used some red and white baker's twine. I grabbed 3 strands of it and I just tied a bow. I didn't want to bore you with watching me do that because I fuss and fuss with those bows until I get it right. So I'm just going to attach that to the handle of that little mug with some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. Now going back to that journal die set, I'm grabbing this little scalloped frame. And this will be for the inside of the card. So I thought I'd quickly do the inside. As long as I have everything out here, I'm going to add some spun sugar around all 4 sides of this. Just creating a little shadow around the edges there. Then again, I went and grabbed a sentiment and die cut that using those same 2 scalloped circles. So for the smaller one, I'm going to stamp that sentiment for the inside of the card. Again, just like we did on the front. And I'll edge that with a little bit of that spun sugar. And then I'll glue these 2 together. Now for this one, I'm gluing them flat together because it is going on the inside of the card. And I didn't want to add too much bulk here. So I'll just center this on this little panel. And then I'll add it to the inside of the card. And that says, "Let's be merry." So again, I'm just going to use that glue this time just so that I have a chance to move that around if I need to make sure it's nice and straight. So here's our little shaker card. I just love these. They're so much fun, so easy to do. And this is our cute little image. So I hope you check out some of the new images from Art Impressions, and I'll have some more videos coming soon with some of these new items. So if you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.